Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Harlequin Summer Sports Romance Book Haul. I have 6 super fun books for you, and if you're single and wondering how to pick up a professional sports player, you might get some ideas from these books. Come on, I know you were thinking it. In fact, I used to be the sports editor for my school paper just so I could talk to athletes. Hi, everyone, I'm Lisa from Lisa Latte Books, self-proclaimed sports groupie who loves sports romance books, and you are watching the Harlequin Books channel where we talk all about romance books. So all of today's 6 sports romance books are amazing, but we're going to start with one that has the best meet cute ever. So book number 1 is Body Check by Elle Kennedy, and in it we have Hayden, who is a chick who just wants to get laid, and she's visiting her dad for the summer in Chicago from Berkeley, and she decides to do just that one night out on the town with her friend. So she actually finds a really hot guy, Brody, that she sees across the bar playing pool. She walks over and challenges him to a pool game, and then she invites him back to her hotel room for a one-night stand. Now, Brody is your typical alpha male love him and leave him one night stand guy, but in a role reversal, he's totally smitten with Hayden, who gives him the heave-ho the next morning. So when he tries to give her his phone number, she tells him it was just a one-time thing and to have a nice life. But in a funny twist, they have their meet cute the next day when her dad introduces her to Brody because, well, her dad owns the hockey team Brody plays for. So you'll have to read this to find out if she sticks to her one-night stand or ends up falling for Brody. And let's not forget, she doesn't even live there. She's only visiting because she is a professor in Berkeley and she's visiting her dad. Next up is a baseball romance, which is Diamond Ring by Katie Casey, which is a second chance romance and brings us to our second way to meet an athlete, which is to be on the same team as them. So this is the best slow burn ever start to a romance book. There is a huge will they, won't they between Jake and Alex. So first, there's this huge ongoing flirtation where you're seeing tons of sparks flying and lots of flirting and no touching yet. But then there are sleepovers that start out with one person in the bed and the other on the couch until they finally both fall asleep together on the same bed. And then finally, after waiting literally an entire season, because each chapter is like a new month progression, they finally kiss. But of course, they get in some sort of baseball fight, which to be honest, at this point, I'm not really into any of the baseball stuff. I'm more into the romance. So I'm not really paying attention. And all of the baseball references are kind of going over my head. But after 10 years apart from this little tiff, Jake and Alex are on the same team again. And you'll have to read it to find out if they talk about that magical kiss and if they have any more sleepovers where they do more than just sleep in the bed. The next book is Home Ice Advantage by Ari Barron, where we're back to hockey again, but this time Ted Lasso style, meaning we're going to focus on the sparks flying between the team's 2 coaches, Ryan and Eric. So this is an enemies to lovers romance because Eric absolutely hates the fact that Ryan is brought in as the interim head coach because Eric thought for sure that that would be his position. So Eric is super determined to hate Ryan right from the get-go and tries to do that for the entire season, but the seasons are long. And the problem is that every time Eric is around Ryan, he feels like he's on fire because he is so super attracted to him. And they need to be together all the time for the games, for the practices, for the travel to the away games. So just like the book before, we get a nice slow burn romance, but this time it's on a hockey field. And if you like that book, you're going to love our next one, The 7-10 Split by Carmen Lee, because we have another enemies to lover romance happening between coaches. The only difference is that these are bowling coaches for a high school team and our 2 would-be lovebirds already hooked up once before, so it's also a second chance romance. So Ava and Grace are now teachers at the same high school they both graduated from together, and their classrooms are directly across the hall from each other to ensure maximum togetherness space-time. And if seeing each other every day for class wasn't enough, they're now paired up as bowling coaches for the kids' bowling team. So despite all of their unresolved relationship issues, they're still super into each other, super into bowling, and can't out flirting in between classes and at bowling games with each other. So you'll have to read this to see how this one turns out. Our fifth book is Going Toe to Toe by Yara St. John, where we have two strangers taking an all-star luxury vacation in Aruba together. Well, kind of, sort of. They're actually total strangers at the beginning of the book. They both came to Aruba to be alone and relax. But due to a booking mistake, Lyric and Devin have both reserved the villa suite at the hotel. Luckily, the villa has 2 bedrooms, so they agreed to share the villa, which really isn't a sacrifice for Lyric, who was eyeing Devin as man candy on the flight over, so this turns out to be a great turn of events for her. And Devin instantly returns the attraction by kissing her immediately after the bellhop leaves, gives them a tour, and gives them their keys. And they have the best week-long steamy hookup ever, after which they both agree to just go their separate ways and not make a thing of it. But they're both having second thoughts about staying apart until Devin sees Lyric's dad pick her up at the airport and just assumes it's her boyfriend, which I so felt this book because this happens to me all the time. And the reason is because Lyric is Black and she's adopted and her dad's white. And I'm Korean and I'm adopted and my dad is white. And every time people see us, I don't know why, they always just assume my dad is my boyfriend and not an adoptive parent. But when I read that book, I was like, oh my God, someone actually understands my life and knows what it's like. But back to the book. Devin and Lyric have a meet cute when he has his daughter sign up for ballet, which Lyric happens to be not only a great ballet instructor, but she has her own studio in the same town. So you'll have to see what happens when they meet there, have their meet cute, and clear everything up. Our last book is Waiting for Friday Night by Synethia Williams, about a football coach and a school principal who are parent-trapped by their daughter. So Quentin, the football coach, knew his daughter as just another kid on his football team that he coached at school. And it's not till she shows up with the DNA report confirming that he is, in fact, the sperm donor that got her mom pregnant that he realizes this is his daughter. Now, Quentin was kind of lonely and looking for love, so this is perfect and exactly what he was hoping for when he registered himself with the DNA database. Now, Hallie, the school principal, the mom, just happened to buy his sperm, and she had no idea because it was anonymous. And when she meets him, it's kind of like an enemies to lovers because they're kind of fighting over how the sports team is going to be run and what position her daughter will play in the games, like typical like parent coach stuff. So anyways, the moral of this story is that love can happen in any order. It doesn't have to be like guy first, then get married. Clearly, this is a strong, independent woman, wanted a baby, and then later, fast forward when her baby is a teen, I'm not sure how old she was, but then she met the dad and fell in love. So anything is possible. So you have your pick from at least 5 sports romance reads right there. We had hockey, we had baseball, we had bowling, we had ballet, we had football, and we had hockey again. So that's a wrap on some of the Harlequin Summer Sports Romance book reads. And remember, they have tons of other sports romance books for you to discover. Okay, happy reading. And remember, if you like hearing about romance books, that's all we talk about on this channel. So make sure to hit the subscribe button below, and we'll see you very soon. Bye.